You're watching Sky News. A couple held hostage by Hamas during the October 7th attacks have spoken publicly together for the first time about their experience in captivity. Aviva Siegel was released after 51 days and her husband Keith after 484 and have since been speaking about that release. They've also met and spoken with President Trump. They join us live from central London. Good to have you with us and thank you for sharing your time. You've been speaking already this morning to the media and the press. How are you both?
I'm sad. I'm disappointed of what's happening. To think about all the 50 hostages that are still in Gaza, that we know that 20 of them are still alive and begging to get out of being underneath the ground, because I know what it's like. I was underneath the ground and I touched death with Keith. There was no oxygen for us to breathe, and we were taken away every human rights that normal people need. We weren't allowed to move. We were starved while they ate in front of us. We were thirsty because they didn't give us water, even though they drank water and ate in front of us. And we weren't allowed to even cry. I had to hide myself crying. And I want to just say that if you or everybody that's listening to me would have seen what we looked like and how they treated us in such a brutal way underneath the ground in Gaza, we would have been out a long time ago. Because what they are doing and what they did to us is not right, and nobody in this world should ever go something like that, like Keith and I went through. There's Alon Oil, that the grenade was thrown and he tried to protect himself and he's still got pieces of grenade in his eyes. We know of the hostages that came back, that some of them were chained for months. And the conditions, they lost half of their body weight and they just lay down, couldn't even stand, couldn't move, in dark places, most of them underneath the ground, just like Keith and I. We know what it's like. I'm a witness of one of the girls that was touched, and I'm just so proud of her because she couldn't show that something happened. She had to continue smiling as if nothing happened to her, because he said that if she'll ever say something, she will be killed. I'm a witness to one of the girls that was beaten with sticks and with guns, and I saw that. I'm a witness of one of the buildings that we were in, that the Israeli soldiers told everybody to leave the building. And we went out with all the people that lived in the building that weren't hostages, people from Gaza, because they cared. And I know that they care about the people. But Hamas is doing whatever they want to. They're destroying the innocent people there. And they're not releasing the hostages. Keith and I were kidnapped with our pyjamas, older people, and treated like we weren't human beings.
Keith, during your almost 500 days being held hostage, you were moved over 30 different times. You don't need me to remind you of the months spent isolated by yourself, the final 2 weeks locked in a room alone. What are your thoughts during that time? What's your hopes? What are your darkest fears?
My thoughts and my hopes are that wishing that all of the hostages, including myself, will be released as soon as possible, reunited with our families, with my family. When I was in captivity and I was held alone for 6 months out of the 484 days, I was always thinking about my family and how much they are suffering, and the distress of not being able to let them know that I'm alive and that I'm dealing with the situation created a lot of stress. I was very empowered by the fact that I knew my family, and so many people were doing all they can to get me back, to get me and to get all of the hostages back to their families.
And you talked previously as well about one instance when you were in an apartment building and you were witness to an airstrike that saw you blown off your chair.
Yes. I I remember the date and I remember the hour that that happened. But I want to focus on the hostages that are still there and the suffering that they're going through and that their families are going through. And I want to just re-emphasize that Hamas is responsible for this tragedy and for the suffering of so many people. Hamas carried out a terrorist attack on October the 7th. They murdered innocent people, babies, elderly people. They burned people alive in their homes, on our kibbutz, in our community of Kfar Aza. 64 of our friends that we have known for 40 years, friends and neighbors, were murdered, were killed. 19 of our community were kidnapped into Gaza. 2 of them, Gali and Ziv Berman, remain in captivity, and it's now 650 days. Their father is an invalid. Their mother is taking care of their father. Both of them were injured. They need to come home. All of the 50 need to come home. The alive to be treated. They're seriously injured, wounded people that have not really received medical attention. I spent time in captivity with 4. They all need to be returned, the alive, so that they can be treated and rehabilitate, and the dead need to be brought back to their families for a proper burial. I call upon all the leaders of the world to do the moral thing, to do the humane thing, to save people, to save 50 people, to get an agreement signed that will prevent more and more suffering, more and more death and injury to so many people.
Aviva, what do you make of the progress or perceived maybe lack of the Israeli government? You know, Benjamin Netanyahu has said that it is a stated goal to return the hostages, as your husband Keith there saying, 50 of them. It's thought around 20 are still alive. It will be hoped it's more, but we do know there are also remains. What do you make of the efforts of the Prime Minister and of the government to try and bring about the return of these hostages so far?
I want to believe that Benjamin Netanyahu is doing everything he can to bring his hostages home. And I just want to say that Hamas is responsible by taking us and taking all the hostages and hiding them there underneath the ground with no human rights. And you know, I'm a mother and I'm a grandmother. And I just want to say that it's the worst thing that could ever happen to worry about somebody that's there that you don't even know how they treated, but we do know because so many of the hostages, all the hostages that came back, have been telling these terrible stories. And I just don't understand how there's still hostages in Gaza. I just want to believe that they'll come home, and they'll come home alive, and it'll be soon, because we've all had enough. And I want to ask the leaders of the world, you've been chosen to lead this world to be a better world. By leaving the hostages there, you're making Hamas feel that they're winning and that they're strong, and it shouldn't be like that.
You have met previously the former President Joe Biden. You've also met with President Trump. And Keith, what role, what possibility do you think the United States might be able to have in securing a ceasefire deal and then also the associated release of hostages too?
Yes, I am back and I am alive because President Trump, his immense efforts to secure an agreement, he led that. He brought me home. He brought many hostages home. I believe he has I know that it's important to him. I know that he is prioritizing this. We have met him. I met him twice. He showed his concern, and he expressed his urgency of getting the hostages back. So I think, and I believe, and he is leading the efforts to get negotiations to secure an agreement that will bring all of the hostages back. And I encourage my government to also do everything that they can, also the mediating countries to do what they have been doing and helping, and call upon them to put pressure, especially on Hamas, because I think Hamas is responsible for the ongoing suffering of the hostages and for many, many innocent people.
Keith and Aviva joining us live in central London. Thank you for your time.